Jeff Malott. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Yeah. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Kayak Bass Nation. Hey. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation.
Kayak Bass Nation is presented by Dugout Bait and Tackle. Go to dugoutfishing.com to find everything you need for your next kayak bass fishing tournament.
Hope you enjoy the show. Jeff Malott, Lunch Money Lambert, Lego.
Also sponsored by Revo Sunglasses. Go to revo.com, use code KBN25 to save 25% off your next order. Revo, best lenses on earth. Also sponsored by Western Sun Vodka. Go to westernsundistillery.com and use the bottle finder to find a bottle near you.
Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to KBN Live. Happy Monday. Hope everybody had a great Monday. It didn't melt wherever you're at. It's been hot all over the country, it seems like. Ryan, how you doing tonight, man? You down on the beach, living the life?
I'm good. We're down here in Panama City, coming at you live from the luxurious condo where I've had to heat the iron up on the stove.
Yeah, I feel
really hard to beat.
Okay. We got some echo going somewhere.
Oh, yeah. No, that was me.
All right.
No, I always wait till the last minute before I click on the live so I can see people's comments. I do it every single week, and I don't know why.
Yeah, well, we appreciate everybody jumping on here. We got some folks from YouTube, Facebook on here already. It kind of slow builds as we get started, so appreciate y'all wherever you're watching from. Please help us out and share this. Share it to your local group, your personal page, whatever you want to do. It always helps, and it's free to do, so we appreciate y'all. We got a big show tonight. We got Travis and Jonathan putting on the new Big Bass 250 up at Lake of the Ozarks in Missouri this fall. And then, of course, Gregory, the man, Drew Gregory, tearing it up out there every time he fishes. He's winning here recently.
We tried to ignore him, okay? Like we tried to skip over because you can't just have him on like every other week. But I figure, you pull off 3 in a row, you probably need a tip of the hat there. So
he's on that Russ. Like last year, we had Russ on a couple times. It's like we can't keep having Russ on every time he wins.
No, because what else different are you going to say? Like, I won again.
Yeah. So Drew's on, well deserved. He's doing things wherever he goes. I don't know what his next event is. He hasn't won a BOS yet this year. If he does that, he'll have.
I think I may be wrong. I think Santy's the only one that he's fished. I know he'll fish Susky. I think he's fishing Wolf and Fox. I don't know what else he has on the schedule there.
I got you. All right. Well, good stuff. We'll hear from Drew here in a little bit. We'll probably get into maybe a little bit of his boat release too, talking about the Sholey debut.
Yeah.
So it seems to be doing well. So as folks trickle in here, before we get our guests in, we're going to talk a little bit about the weekend that was, and really more about what went down on the page. I want to jump right into that. Kind of leads in from what we were talking about with Drew. There was a comment, or not a comment, but a thread. I think Ryan Valentine, who's watching, see him in the comments there, shared something about Drew's win, and I made a comment under his post saying we were throwing a term national event around pretty loosely these days. That wasn't a shot at Drew. That was just like, everything's not a national event. That was my point. And that turned into a thread there, then another thread today underneath our show post.
Lance came in firing at you on that one.
Yeah. He said I was taking cheap shots at Drew, which I'm not. If it came off that way, well, it is what it is. But didn't mean to come off like a cheap shot at Drew. It's just my opinion. I believe that every event's not a national event. Now, they may have national implications, like you might qualify for a national championship or some sort of something from the event, but you can't. And I'll try to explain this different than I did on the thread by typing it out, because sometimes you don't get the meaning when you're thumbing stuff out, right? If as a tournament director, former tournament director, and as a business owner through my wife, let's say, if we were going to sponsor an event, or if I was a city looking to host an event and I was going to give money because the tournament director said, hey, Come here with your national event. We're going to bring it to your city, and we're going to give you give us X amount of dollars. We're going to bring this national event to your city. And the city's going to say, okay. And the business is going to say, okay, here's this money. We expect a national turnout, big numbers, people from all over the country. And then here in Rogers, Arkansas, I promise that on Beaver Lake, and the same 50 dudes that fished the Natural State Kayak Angler Beaver Lake Tournament show up under that different flag, and that's it.
And they get no heads and beds.
Yeah, maybe 5 or 6 other guys come in, but we get basically the same 50 or 60 folks come in, and we just change the title. That ain't a national event. That's my point.
I agree. And I think maybe our terminology may be off, and I kind of alluded to that in my response there. Like, I think we say national event because used to a national event meant it was big time, right? Like you were pulling, you were pulling 100, 125 guys. Like that's what you would think of when you say national event. And now we've got it kind of, spread out more. There's more entities involved or whatever. So if you say, oh, this is a national event, that could literally mean from 12 to 200 people like that. Right. I don't think just labeling oh, that's a national trail, that don't mean shit. They may not show up at all for it, like that doesn't necessarily mean that it carries weight. I think we probably, marketing wise, especially like you're saying to sponsors and municipalities, there needs to be a line drawn somewhere like, all right, this is probably going to pull 100 plus, like this is probably going to pull 24. Like there needs to be a line, because these municipalities, this is how you burn a city, right? Mm-hmm. If a city says, I'm going to give you $20,000 to host a tournament here, and you bring 19 dudes, you're not coming back. And the next guy that comes and asks, he ain't coming back. Like you automatically burn that bridge by overselling. And that's the slippery slope here. Like everybody wants to be friendly and pat everybody else on the back and, good job, hurrah, this one's equal to that one. It's not. Like this is how you screw up before you start.
That's it. And frankly, it doesn't matter people think I was throwing shots at KBF. That's just an example. Some of KBF events, I would classify it like their East Coast events. I think the Murray event had 190 people from all over the country.
Oh, yeah.
That's a big-time national event. Even their season opener, the Kissimmee event, had 100-some people from all over the place.
One. Kissimmee was a big one. I think East-West Harbor pulled pretty good. Gunnersville pulled pretty good, getting up. Honestly, like anything you pull over 75 or 80 people, I think is a good turnout for a kayak event. I know we're kind of spoiled now by watching BOS just blow up, at the beginning of the year. If you remember last year or the year before, like 100 was a benchmark. Like that was good. Like AJ was happy seeing 100, 120 people sign up. Nobody really saw the threshold being raised that much this year, but it has been, and I'm glad that it has been. But I think, don't let the measuring stick kind of outgrow itself, because we're not there yet across the board.
Yeah. And what does that definition mean? I guess really nothing. It was just a point I was making. Matthew Zapala said, so people coming from outside the region is a determining factor. Guess national event in the Northeast will have to depend on people in the South. That's not what I mean. For a national event to happen, like if we have one here in Arkansas and Dardanelle this fall, we don't have to have people from New York and California there. Right. We have to have a large turnout, and we have to have multiple areas represented, I think, to be different than the normal local crowd to be called a national event.
But that being said, if you look at bolstering the numbers, that comes from your region.
Right.
So kind of to address that point, if you have a big, well put on tournament in the Southeast, you can go ahead and pencil in about 125 guys showing up, and probably 75 to 80 of those guys are going to be within the regional drive. The problem is like the Northeast and California, like these people say, oh, we want a national event, and nobody shows up for it. And that's what gets you knocked back, down the roster for that. We're seeing that at New Hampshire right now. Everybody wanted a national event. They wanted a Hobie stop. They got one. And guess what? They're not showing up. So, that's part of it. You got to back it up every now and then.
The BOS doesn't get a free pass. If only, let's say, 80 to 90 people show up and they're all from that state or within the 2 or 3 state region, what do you call that? I don't know. It's not really pulling nationally to me, but it has national relevance, just like these regional.
You're qualifying for the TOC too.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I mean.
Arguably the most elite championship that we have currently.
Yeah, even the KBF Laurel Lake example I used on our group page. They had I think 20 guys or 22 or something in the actual trail tournament, and then 7 or 8 in the Pro Series. That's basically a local event with a different banner on it.
Oh, for sure. I mean, that's less than a local event. Like,
however,
Jay and them,
what
is it? Is the blue collar kayak angler, Blue Coast? What's Jay got out there?
Yeah.
Something bluegrass yak anglers. That's it.
Yeah, but
they're pulling 50 or 60.
Yeah, it still had national implications. It affected AOI. It affected who qualified for their trail championship. It still had national implications. It's just, I'm not calling that a national event. But anyway, we're splitting hairs, I guess.
You're right.
But here we go. What else happened over the weekend, man, or over the week, I guess we need to get to?
I think it's pretty quiet outside of that, to be honest with you. I mean, everything else is kind of low on the radar.
Yeah, true. It's hot. We're getting into summer. To me, tournaments always, whether it's national, local, regional, whatever, always kind of tail off in the summer anyway. People start going on vacation. Kids are out of school. Numbers start kind of naturally dropping a little bit.
It's hot as hell outside. Let's be honest on that too. Like it is completely miserable to sit on a piece of plastic all day and fish when it's 98 degrees outside. I don't think anybody's going to argue that too much.
Let me throw Van Tynes up here. He said his point exactly. If there's an end of year implication at any event, it's a national event. Well,
and again, I say we should label that differently, because I could say, hey guys, I'm running a national kayak trail and 12 dudes show up to it every time. It ain't national because that ain't affecting anybody except them 12 dudes. Like, I don't know if we need to have, pro level, high stakes, actual, serious deal.
The online challenges have national implications. The state championships are tied to these organizations.
You can't broadly say that.
Yeah. So all these local events and state championships have national implications, and they're not national events. Two different things.
You're right.
Two different things. But anyway, we're talking tonight about something that could be a national event. The Big Bass 250 could poll nationally. I know these guys hope it does. So we're going to bring them in here. Hang on just a second. Let me get things switched around. Travis and Jonathan, what's up, fellas? With the pro-looking podcast background, we're going to talk big money tournaments. Appreciate y'all joining us tonight, man.
Look bad on this one.
Thank you very much. Thanks, guys. We appreciate it.
I got a picture of a sea turtle back here. If y'all are,
there you go.
Y'all trying to compete.
We got everything but a sea turtle here.
Palm tree lamps. You got it all back here, right?
I've been playing with that lamp for 2 days. It's real springy. The leaves on the palm fronds there.
Nice.
So.
I feel you.
Know that. So what is this Big Bass F250 or whatever y'all got going out there?
So this is kind of something that we just decided that we were going to try to do. We're pretty excited about it. Eco Fishing Shop wanted to get behind it. It's something Jonathan and I decided to put together, and we wanted it to be a tournament for anyone. We hope we get some of the big dogs in there as well, but it's an open tournament, November 5th at Lake of the Ozarks. And it's $10,000 paid down through 10th place, but $10,000 for first, best 5 fish. And then kind of the kicker is $10,000 for one fish. Big Bass wins that money. So our hope was that anybody who wants to get in this tournament can get in it. I won't confirm or deny if it's a national tournament at this point. I'm a little scared.
TBD.
But no, I think that it's just something that when we sell a lot of kayaks. So when we sell a kayak, we've already had people who have bought a kayak and signed up for this tournament who have never fished their kayak before. We're hoping to get just any kayak angler, whether you're just getting into it. The Lake of the Ozarks is a super fun place to come down and spend some time. And we're just hoping to kind of turn it into a destination tournament where people can come down, have a great time. Everybody has a pretty good chance to win some money. And then also there's going to be a lot of giveaways, whether that be kayaks or Bixby setups or Torpedo setups or whatever it is. We're working on all that now, but we're pretty excited about it. With the tournament, you're also going to, when we do our awards, we will do that at a venue. We will feed everybody at that venue and actually make a pretty good awards banquet out of it. Not just, I don't want it to be an online thing. I want it to be, pretty exciting for everybody involved and follow a little bit of the Big Bass Bash format. But that's kind of our vision with it.
Are y'all doing an hourly payout or just overall for Big Bass?
We've talked about that quite a bit. And so what we've budgeted right now is anything additional is going to, it's going to marketing, it's going to the venue, it's going to feed people, it's going to giveaways, we've got to pay judges, we've got to pay people to work the tournament, we've got to pay a polygraph, we got to do all this stuff. So,
what?
Yeah,
What?
man.
Polygraph? You want people to tell the truth in a fishing tournament?
Yeah,
Get
out
that
of this
shit out of
tournament.
here.
Yeah.
This will never take off.
But the goal is whatever's left, we're just going to put back into the pot, whether that's an hourly big bass pot, maybe it's, a dish secondary big bass. I mean, that's all still in the works. So the goal is, to do an hourly big bass as well, but the numbers got to be there as well.
I will tell you from, Steve-O and I, we did the native tournament down on Gunnersville, and that was like our first stab at like a big national tournament. Don't put too much on your plate on the first one. I think the setup y'all have now is perfectly fine. It seems like it has plenty of reward for the investment on the other side. I'd keep it as simple as you can and focus on like the angler experience for that. That's my best advice I could lend.
That's exactly what we want to do. We want to, and we've got some folks that kind of hit us up, that we're pretty excited about it because it is some big money, but it's the experience of, and we've had several say this would be a hell of a way for me to break out for my first kayak tournament.
Oh yeah.
And that's kind of the thing we want to do. And we're not taking away anything from anybody, but when you do your series and your things like that, it's kind of tough just to start that. This would be one that's fun. We really want to make it a lot about the total experience. And Lake of the Ozarks, November is a perfect time. The big boats are mostly gone. The bass people are killing it in November here. And there's plenty of room. I mean, because all your tourists are headed home. So there's, easy to get rooms, easy to get lodging, food, all that. It's going to be a nice a destination tournament.
Get those off-season rates too. It'd be nice.
Exactly.
Yes.
And we're working on some of that as we get people into the tournament. We'll be sending out emails with some discount codes and some things at some local partners that'll help us out with some of that stuff.
So we're getting some questions and comments. So anybody on YouTube or Facebook, if you have questions about this, please shoot them in here. Johnny Maddox asks, is it a 1 or 2 day event?
It's just a 1-day event, just November 5th, 1 day. Sometimes it's tough to get away from work for stuff like that, especially late in the year. If guys are already fishing, it's tough to do a 2-day tournament and ask them to take another day off. At least they can come down and maybe, spend a Friday and still be able to drive home on Sunday. But a 2-day event's tough for some guys. I know you see that at some events where, some guys won't do it because they can't do 2 days, but just 1 day, like the Ozarks, November 5th.
And we've got, I had a group out of Utah that was inquiring about it. And, it's a lot easier to bring the wife and kids if you fish a day and then spend a day or two doing, other things. It is a tourist area. So we thought that would be the best advantage for people to come fish a day, then spend the next day or go home, whatever they want to do, but give them a little time to enjoy the lake.
Yeah. No, that's smart. Do y'all really have floating casinos and money laundering up there?
Also can't confirm or deny.
All right. Well, that could
we do have a new restaurant called Marty Bird's.
Nuh-uh, really?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's hilarious. Of course somebody would capitalize on it. It's smart.
100%.
Some of the money's being held back from the payout to pay the local mob, the heat.
Yeah.
Is it? Well, so for the people that had questions about that, now you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there were some questions about that, Travis, on the page. We talked about that on the phone earlier. People, they do the math: $250 max entries, $250 an entry fee. They see the payouts, which are great. $10,000 for one big fish. You can have the worst day of your life and just stick one good one, and boom, all of a sudden your day got better.
This tournament was made for me. I'll be there.
That's right. But there, people are saying, hey, where's the rest of the money going? Because it's not 100% payout, which a lot of these events shouldn't be. There's a lot of stuff that goes into these. So break that down for us a little bit.
Yeah. So we, Eco Fishing Shop, you're looking at our entire staff here at Lake of the Ozarks. So we're going to have to hire people to come in and help work with registration, with a little bit of everything. We're also paying outside judging so that we're not, it's totally impartial. We have to pay for a venue because if we get the numbers, we can't just do it at the dock. So we've got to rent a venue. We're also feeding everyone. So there's money to go there. And then lastly is the marketing. There's quite a bit of money that we're going to put into trying to market the event to try to fill it up and make it a national event. We heard a lot about that, and people kind of commenting on there's this much money left, and it's usually always people from that are fishing in some other series. And the biggest difference is, well, top 10% should pay. Well, I understand that, but on a big bass format, that 10,000 comes out of somewhere, and you try to pay the top 10% in a series or a trail, so that you spread that money out, so you keep people into your series and into your trail.
Yeah.
This is a different format. We don't want to do a series. We don't want to do a trail. We support all of our local and regional tournaments and tournament series. Our pro staffers fish in those. We drive our customers to those. This is a one-time deal annually, where we can try to give everybody a shot at some bigger money. So our thought was, instead of trying to spread that down as deep as we could get it to go, is to make the payouts big, where guys are excited to sign up from Alabama or Utah or wherever, and they're like,
Y'all got
this would be a hell of a
cousins
deal
up
to come up.
Do you have cousins? Do you have cousins up there?
I have a couple.
All right, Alabama's in.
There you go.
Throw 2 cousins out, and they're coming.
There you go. Bring them up. No, but that's kind of the thing is, and hey, we're not saying this format is perfect. That's our first year of doing it. I watched your podcast earlier with John Stewart. I wouldn't want to do it for a living.
Well, yeah, don't watch that one twice. That was probably, probably the last run we'll have on that one, I'd say.
Well, we're going to get you before the night's over, Travis.
I hear you, brother.
Yeah, just strap your feet to the floor so you don't put them in your mouth. That's
yeah.
No, seriously, the best thing about doing your own tournament is you can do whatever the hell you want to. If you want to say, all right, top 4 don't get paid, 5th place gets 10 grand. It's your tournament. They still signed up for it. Like, you can do whatever you want to do. Just be transparent about it. And that's the easiest part, is just tell people, what's going on up front. And if they sign up for it, guess what? There's nothing to complain about. Like, you knew what you were getting into. These things shouldn't be 100% payout, right? I mean, I don't think my job, like, it's the same deal. My boss makes more than I do. Do you know that? If I work 10 times harder than him, he's still making more money than me on purpose, because that's how this is designed, because he's running the company,
Right.
I mean,
part of the
I think
deal.
ultimately we want to give the angler the best experience we can. So, we don't want some kids that just volunteer to help do check-ins. We don't want, we want anglers helping anglers, guys that are in the sport, that are doing this, and we want to give them something to say, hey, thank you for your time. Sorry you couldn't fish this one, and pay people where we can and do that. I mean, I think we're doing a great job bringing outside judges, and that way there's nobody inside. There's nobody handling, that's completely biased, and it's someone that's trusted. And I think we want to do it, for the angler, by the angler, in a sense,
That's the most important part that you mentioned there, though, is paying outside judges, because I think that's one of the kind of most, I don't want to say, like, not accident prone necessarily, but vulnerable spots in the sport that we have, is you have judges that have, inside relationships with whoever or whatever, and not saying that they overlook things, but we've seen like spots get drawn on fish and multiple fish submitted, and based on how far a life jacket's unzipped and things, like you've seen things like this happen in the past, and you have, there's a lot of data that goes into this. There's a lot of honey holes and secret spots, and this may be your online cash cow that you just sold out trying to get big bass on this. Having outside judges, in my opinion, is crucial. Like, you have to have judges that are not going to have anything to do with the waters, the event, the contestants. I think that is money well spent for sure.
Yeah.
And talk about who y'all brought in, because you guys brought in Josh Booth as one of them, and he's a well-respected tournament director and judge. Judges as many fish as anybody probably nationally. So, you didn't just get some dude that has barely fished tournaments, to look at these fish and give him a crash course in judging. You brought in experienced people.
Yeah, and he has nothing to do with our shop. It doesn't have anything to do with eco fishing and the sponsorship. He doesn't have anything to do with our tournament, except for, he's got his thing. We worked with him on, and some of the other series around here, making sure that we got off their dates. That was really my biggest thing, is I did not want to affect anything regionally that was going on and pull anglers from anyone. So we kept it out of the way. Josh was good enough to say that he would like to do it, and we'll be paying him to do it. Also be looking if anybody out there is interested or wants to work it, give me a call, text, email, whatever. I would love to talk to anybody that's interested in doing that. We want to be impartial. We don't want to be responsible for that side of it. We want it to be anglers watching over anglers. So
yeah, we don't want the good old boy thing going on. Sometimes it makes me think of the NCAA. Sometimes people mess up so bad that their homie punishes the next guy. Really bad. Comes down really hard on the next guy, but their homie gets to slide. So you don't want that. You don't want to see that.
No.
Let's see. We got more questions coming in. Cody Barlow said 1 big fish, 10 G's, 1 paid spot. No, that's just for the big bass.
Just
There's
the big bass.
10 spots paid, right?
And there's another, there's 10 G's for the big bass, then 10 G's for first place, and then the rest as it goes down pays out all the way to the bottom.
That's a lot of G's. That's a lot of G's there.
Yeah, you win the tournament and also have big bass. That's 20 G's.
Let's get into some of your rules. What we talking? Motors, no motors?
So we're really going to follow, KBF for the most part. We will allow motors, but it's kind of follow along there.
Can you tie off to private docks and walk across them and fish off the bank?
No, sir.
All right. I didn't know how closely y'all were following there. I just wanted to clear that up.
Yeah, unlike the Ozarks, there'd be a lot of opportunities to walk behind banks if that were a rule.
There.
And probably a lot of people get shot because they've been
true.
on docks they're not supposed to be on. But and any public launch, that way, the locals here don't have the ability to just go out of their dock. You've got to go off a public launch. So
I like it. Okay. I like it.
Somebody said length or weight. I'm assuming length.
Yep,
length.
all length, inches.
Catchboard only.
All right. Catchboard only, metal and plastic, or just the metal?
Metal and plastic, catchboard only.
Okay. I shouldn't say plastic. What's that thing called?
Carbonate? Yeah, catchboard
Polycarbonate?
Carbonate or something is what it is.
I actually like the carbonate one better. You can see
I
the
do
fish so
too.
much better on that one.
I like it because it's you can see the lines, and that's what we asked for forever was just like pre-colored lines. But it's so lightweight. It's not like a boat anchor you're carrying around with you.
Yeah,
Jason Carr, he's firing off the questions quick. How
got
y'all
them
breaking tie? How we breaking ties?
Arm wrestling.
It'll go down to say if 2 guys are in first place and they have the same big bass, it'll go down to their next fish. If that's tied, it'll go down to the next fish as well. If they're all 5 of them are the same, we'll go down to first submission on that.
Okay. I like it.
And we use
Jason Carr better be in this tournament. Jason Carr's got so many questions. You better sign up immediately, Jason. I'm betting on you.
We rolling Tourney X, iAngler, Chaos. What are we doing?
Tourney X.
Right. Baby.
Speaking of that, get to register the event, you're going to go on to ecofishing.com. Just search Big Bass 250. It'll pull it up there. You'll pay there at ecofishing.com. Once you get paid there, you'll get an invoice and an email with a password to go on to Tourney X. You'll enter that password, and at that point, you're registered for the event. You'll see your name on the leaderboard and all that.
Okay.
Awesome.
All right. So you guys are collecting payment on your own separately
Yes.
from Tourney X.
I received a phone call from Mr. Tourney X himself, Dwayne Wally, after I was poking at him a little bit, trying to register for that Hobie tournament. Tourney X is going to go back to its previous look, its previous format.
Yeah, I was trying to find some events to talk about even today, and you can't find them very easy unless you're logged in. You got to be logged in.
That's what he'd say.
And Dwayne worked with us very well. I would like to give him a shout out on that. When we sent this out, it was like an announcement, and then we started getting hammered immediately that it wasn't on Tourney X. And Dwayne reached out to us and really helped walk us through it. So we're pretty excited to be working with Dwayne.
Let me ask y'all one more question here.
To you, like he can.
Yeah,
Ryan, you freezing up, my man. I'm gonna ask this question while he's getting unfroze. Are y'all strict on wearing a friend's jersey to check in if they put you on a winning bag?
Damn, that's why you go ask it when I'm breaking up.
there you go.
Is there any rule about that?
Now you wear what you want.
All right.
There you go.
Tape and all.
PFD is the only dress
Man,
code.
get out of here.
All right.
Get out of here. You got to wear a PFD to check in? Hold on. What'd you say?
Safety first.
Let's
Ryan.
straighten this out real quick.
Safety first. I'm looking forward to it, man. Of course, anytime there's an event close to me, I'm excited about it. So, Lake of the Ozarks is only about 4 hours up the road. And frankly, in this area, big events like this, we've talked about it on the show before. The Beavers Bend Classic they used to have on Broken Bow, it was just a one-shot deal they used to have in the spring. It always pulled a lot of anglers, so I expect this one is going to as well. I'm excited about it. I'm excited to see.
Yeah, I really think Lake of the Ozarks will show out in the fall, especially November. You get a lot of those pleasure boaters off the water. It's a great lake. There's plenty of water for 250 anglers. There's plenty of spots to get to that, some of them bass boats can't get to either.
Yeah. I've actually never come up and fished Lake of the Ozarks. I fished Truman a couple times. Is it similar with the stumps and trees, or is it all docks and deep water up there?
A lot of docks and deep water, but there's a lot of fingers. Of fingers. I mean, it's got more shoreline than California. It's a big lake.
Oh, wow. Probably more water than all their lakes combined too right now, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's pretty full right now.
Yeah. All right. Anything else for them, Ryan? You're unfroze. You're looking good now.
I switched to my hotspot, but now it's spotty getting you to come through here. So I don't know. I'm just out here surviving, player.
All right. Anything else you want to drop on us, Travis and Jonathan, before we slide out of here and get Drew on?
Hey guys, we really appreciate it. Again, we extend the offer that if you guys ever want to do one of these together, you can use the Eco Fishing Shop studios here. And I
appreciate it. Listen, while you guys were on, we saw several comments coming through talking about doing business with Eco Fishing Shop, guys coming in buying kayaks, lowest prices in the area. Hats off to you guys for making an impact on the fishing industry. I think this is great that you're doing the tournament, and I hope it's super successful for y'all.
Thank you, guys.
Hey, appreciate it so much.
All right, y'all. Talk to you later.
See you.
All right. Good stuff. There you have it,
Take
folks.
care.
The Big Bass 250. Hopefully it goes off.
250.
Goes off well. I like the name of that. The Big Bass 250. Sounds
I hope it runs better than the F250. That's what I'll say.
There we go. All right. We've had Drew patiently waiting. I see his head down. He's sitting there looking at comments. Maybe I don't know what he's doing, but we're going to get him in here. Bam. Drew.
What's
Gregory.
up, guys? What's up?
Man, goodness, Drew. You've been a busy young man.
I don't know what to do, man, but just the whole podcast could just be over right now. I could just shrug, and then that's it.
Put your hands in your armpits and just say, I don't know what
Yeah.
to do with my hands right now.
I really don't, man.
You got 7 more
Don't.
checks back there since the last time we talked to him.
Yeah. Which, by the way, I know Jeff. I like how Jeff, you're good at giving everybody kind of the business every once in a while. Give them a hard time. I hear you, dude. This is a little bit much back here, but I will say this. Answer me this question, dude.
All right.
What are you supposed to do with all these freaking checks? What else are you supposed to do with them? Just sit them in a freaking corner in an attic somewhere? I mean, I'm just using them as wallpaper. I mean, come on.
Wallpaper them suckers up. I love it. I love it.
I know, but it's
if Jeff had checks, they would be all over his room. I promise.
All I've got is an Old Town sticker right here. And I've got
He's got an Old Town sticker and a Western Sun bottle.
That's
We're out.
That's all.
Hey, I hear you, man. I probably need to reorganize. They could probably look a little bit I don't know, better.
Your background's dope. Leave it alone. Just keep piling on back there.
Yeah, I should, and I could pan around. It just I don't know, but it's a little much. I agree, but I don't know what else to do with these checks, so I'm gonna keep them on the wall for the time being. So,
amen. Amen.
I'm looking forward to it
Keep
tonight,
cashing
fellas.
them. That's all you can do.
Yeah, that's right.
Ryan Van Tide said Jeff's jelly. Ryan, back when I was winning checks back in the day, they didn't have big checks. They just gave you money, and that was it. Matter of fact, so I didn't get any big checks.
You didn't keep the tear off. You didn't keep the check. No. You mobile deposit. You could frame it. And
matter of fact, the biggest payout I ever got was at a KBS event. I won one of the KBS events, and Terry handed me $3,000 cash in an envelope right there on the spot.
Yeah,
I mean that was amazing. That was amazing. But anyway, I digress. This is about Drew today.
That's how they used to do it, boy. I mean, it was dollar bills, nothing else.
That's right.
Yeah. And you know what, Ryan? This can kind of tie to Drew. Back when I was winning money, I was paddling. I need to go back to paddling, Drew.
That's right, man. It can get done that way.
That's what
no doubt about it.
Yeah, man.
You got lazy. You got lazy, boy.
I done got lazy. Got too many rides, motors, and pedals, and I'm losing. It's terrible. But anyway, let's talk about Drew, man. You're on a streak like we hadn't seen in a while. So we want.
It's bananas, man.
Yeah.
It is bananas. I don't even know what to say, but I'll answer whatever questions, and we can touch on whatever y'all want to talk about. You know me, man. I enjoy this stuff, and it's always fun talking to you guys. So if y'all want to talk about that national event stuff or any of that chatter on the forum, happy to address that. Or
did you catch some of that? Did you
a
catch
little
some
bit? I got tagged in something. I think Steven Sisto had posted something, and Ryan, they were going back and forth. And I don't have a lot of time during the year to read this stuff. I kind of get a little bit more involved in the winter. You guys may notice whenever I'm trying to usurp your rankings and stuff like that, So, but no, I get more involved in the winter. But now I just I don't have time for it as much with the family and everything. So. But I did see that because someone tagged me. So
let's get your
will
thoughts on it because
Yeah.
somebody come off and made it sound like I was taking a shot at you with some of the comments I made, which I was trying to explain that these events, some of them, while they all have national implications, they're more of a regional setup than they are national, just by nature, not or attendance, or whatever you want to say. So, what'd you think of what you saw or what you read there?
Yeah, I mean, I got a chance to see a little bit of it. I mean, I didn't think you were taking a shot at anything. You just were. I think you just were voicing your opinion on it. Here's what I'll say. I feel like a national event is a trail that goes around and has stops throughout the country. National, that's what it means. That's it. Now, they can't control necessarily how many people sign up, but there's still a national trail. But should someone be like not discredited or an asterisk like because they win a quote national event that doesn't have as many people? I mean, we all kind of keep track and know when that happens. But I will say this, when Iaconelli won the Bassmaster and there was 40 something people there, and hardly, I would say probably not even, I don't know, you guys tell me if I'm wrong, if you can remember, but I don't think anybody in the KBN power rankings in the top, any of the power rankings were at that tournament. You know what I mean? So I don't think he really beat a strong field, but I've always defended Mike in saying this, that's out of his control. That's the tournament he could fish with his schedule, and it was on it. He had history there. He can't control that. And it's a national trail in the sense that it goes everywhere. It's got the media coverage. They do a great job. And then on top of that, this is the way I see tournaments. I actually don't even I register early when I get my schedule laid out, and there's a strategy to my entire schedule, and it involves being in contention for the AOI and potentially all of the trails, which means getting enough events in to do that. And it also involves, just the places I want to go, you know what I mean? Just I'd like to go. And I sign up early. So I don't know how many people are in the events or whatever are going to be in the event. But Ike, when he won, my strategy is I look up the bass boat tournaments, previous kayak tournaments. I try to figure out what is the length needed to win. What's the maximum length this lake can put out, right? And the reason I do that, and this is a little bit of, I think, information that can help some folks out there, is because when you're pre-fishing, it tells you when you found winning fish or not. And you can easily convert the length, the weight to length from bass tournament. So I knew in Grand Lake, I needed 90 inches to win, most likely 90 inches to win, because there was a 300 boat bass tournament the 2 days before we were there. And out of 300 boats, so 600 bags, only 2 people had 20-pound bags or more. And that was a 20-pound bag I had there at 90. I knew about 91 inches and 91 and a half was 20 pounds based on how fat those fish were or whatever. So I don't really care how many people were in it because I couldn't control that. But I felt like I did my job. I got the maximum that lake could do. And that's what Ike did. And that's all he can do. And if it's, national, I just feel like if they go around to, the country, then it's national. I mean, would I prefer there be 200 people? Of course, because I don't think anybody, when you got 600 bags and only 220-pound bags and out of 600 boats, I'm pretty sure I would have won if there was, 500 people or 200 people in that tournament. So I wish there was more, quite frankly. So, but anyway.
Yeah. The thing is, my point there was not discrediting anybody from winning. Winning any Thursday night jackpot is hard, much less whether it's regional, local, national, 3 in a row. You don't see that at local level. You don't see it on the regional level. national level. Winning 3 tournaments in a row or winning one tournament is hard on any level.
Right.
I think even Ike said that when he was on our show. He said, just winning a tournament period is hard.
It is.
So not discrediting anybody's wins, but it was just a matter of really splitting hairs on the definition of what's a national event. It has national implications, but is it a national event if it doesn't draw nationally? But
Right.
we could go on and on and on about that. I think what we want to talk about is how you won this event and how you've been on this roll up until now.
Yeah. Well, let me touch real quick on Sisto's comment because I forgot to mention that one real quick. Then we'll get on to that one because he did say something about how the chick Hobie had 196 and all the 3 tournaments I won had about the same amount total. And what I'll say to that is, first of all, I can't control how many people, but I maxed out those lakes. Like I won by 8 inches in Grand Lake. And you guys had, it was really cool to see. Was it Chris, right? That is, who got second? I forgot to look. What was not Chris? Second place at
Chris
Grand.
Yeah,
Chris it was Chris. Yeah.
Or that was
you guys
from
had him on
Smith Lake.
Smith Lake. Yeah. Really great dude. I'm glad you guys had him on and gave me a break. That was cool that week because I was getting a little exhausted anyway. So that was nice. And he's a good guy. So that was cool to see him on the show. And then on this tournament here, I mean, I kind of maxed out, last year at Hobie when there were 79 people less, and then they had Travis had 2 bags that were bigger than my 2.
Smalley's rule.
Yeah. And that was it. So I felt like I pretty much kind of maxed out that lake. So it doesn't matter if there was 10 people in it. What I got was there was a Bass Nation tournament that also went out of Ty and a couple other, and 19 pounds won at 19 and a half. Well, I had 20 pounds. So I maxed the lake out. You know what I mean? So no matter how many people are in it, I'm competing against the lake. That's it. So I did my job. I don't care how many other people are in it. And I'm proud of that because that's all I care about is did I max that lake out or not? And if people beat me, if I do that, then I'm like, hey, shake their hand. Good job. But to Steven's comment about that, it's, and I'm not upset at whatever he said either. He's just got his opinion, but he was trying to equate that these 3 events were kind of equal to the one on Chick. But dude, like you just said, Jeff, hey, you go try to find fish in central part of the country, largemouth in the lake, go win that tournament. Then go to the southeast and try to find winning fish again, which is hard to find winning fish, period. Catch them, execute again properly on Alabama bass, spotted bass. Then go up to the northeast and Champlain, find winning fish again, execute, and win on smallmouth. 3 times. I mean, it's not that's not easy, man. You can't equate that to one tournament. And I wish there was more people in it. And trust me, I'm scheduled for the next Hobies, and obviously I love fishing the Hobies, and it just happened to work out where I fished one earlier this year, and then all of mine are backloaded. Like that one one year I won AOI, and last year I was in second place in AOI fishing the Hobies until our little girl came early and had to miss the championship, which whatever, I may or may not, I didn't miss having to not go to Eufaula, but anyway, so that's what I'll say about that. It's not easy, man. And the way I'm proud of the way I did it and the way I maxed out the lakes. And if somebody beat me, then so be it. But I did my job. So.
I don't think anybody can say a word about Drew and your fishing ability. I mean, Ryan will agree with that because obviously you've won Hobie AOI. You've won Hobie events. You've won Bass events. You've won KBF events. Nobody's knocking that. And really, frankly, like you said, just like I'm watching the College World Series right now and people are talking about this team had an easier path than this team, you can only knock down the dominoes that are in front of you. You can't change what's in front of you, and that's what you did. So
that's right. Yeah, that's it.
You're looking crispy now, Ryan. Did you change signal again?
I did. Yeah. Well, you made me paranoid, so I switched to my hotspot, and I was getting a lot of lag on the audio, so I switched back to the old condo Wi-Fi. Sorry, I missed the introduction to that discussion, but I caught up. Don't worry, I figured it out. I figured out where we were going.
Over on YouTube, Dave said that's a perfect way to look at tourneys. You versus the lake. I'm going to start that. Try to ignore other. It's kind of like golf. It's you versus the course.
It is, man. You can't play defense. I always make a joke. You can't put a blade on your paddle and go over there and slice somebody's line when they got a 5-pounder on. You can't play defense in this sport.
To me, the difference that you see on these lakes is in a 150, 200, 160 person tournament is the pressure. Like those fish feel the pressure, and you have. You may not have a lot of guys with similar styles, but you have some guys that look for backwater, some guys that look for offshore, some guys that look for, grass lines, whatever. There's usually a lot of different sects of those guys. SECTS, of those guys that are looking for these certain things. So you're more likely to run into people, obviously, because that's how math works when there's 200 people on a lake versus 40 or 50 people on a lake. That to me is the biggest differentiator in the size of the tournaments. It's not necessarily that you had a harder time catching the fish or the fish knew what day it was or who was there or whatever, but it's the likelihood that somebody else may slip in on your juice and affect kind of the performance of that spot, if that makes sense.
True. And I mean, I wish that every field was maxed out that I fish in. Trust me. I mean,
I don't.
I wish it was maxed out, dude.
I don't wish we had 200
payouts are
max.
better.
Like, I agree, payouts are better, and I think we always thought that running up into this year, 200 kayakers is a lot on different bodies of water. Like some of these aren't built for 200. Like some of them fish really small, and when you pull up to a ramp and there's 25, 30 dudes there, that's when you realize it. Like, oh. I wasn't that smart pre-fishing at all. Like all these other dudes are heading to the same stuff.
Yeah,
it's difficult.
True.
It definitely increases the difficulty level. In bass boats, it's not a huge deal because you're usually spread out a lot more. But when you launch around kayaks, like they're not going that far.
Right. All right, but then take it down to 100, make it $1,000 entry, and then we can have good payouts.
Now you're talking.
Check,
Mr.
please.
There we go. Yeah.
Deal.
But
now we're talking.
And I forgot to mention too that I did make a comment on one of my podcasts that I was gonna, because I don't like Eufaula. I mean, I got 7th at Bassmaster last year out of like 100 people at Eufaula, so I've done well there, but I don't like it. So I missed the TOC. I decided not to go this year for Hobie. Instead, I was going to do the off KBF event, which was the Potomac. But I didn't realize they changed the date. It was supposed to be the same date. It was originally the same date as Eufaula Hobie. It's closer to. So I said something on my podcast about how, hey, it's a little strategy. A lot of the hammers are going to be over there on Eufaula. I'll go over there. I need to get 3 events in for KBF for the AOI. I'm just going to do the minimum, most likely. So I was like, hey, it's closer to home. It's not Eufaula. And there's not going to be as many people over there. So it's a little strategy. And I think it got taken out of context. That's like all I'm looking for, these small events. Like, are you kidding me, dude?
Kicking puppies, boy.
Yeah.
You're ducking the mullet.
Yeah. So trust me.
Oh boy.
Anyway, I just want to clear that up. I don't look for those specifically, but it is a strategy you can
keep Eufaula. I drove through Eufaula heading to the beach, and I didn't even press the brakes once through that whole town. I ran 7 red lights through Eufaula. I don't even want to slow down there again.
Yeah, it just needs a little comeback. That lake.
It needs some fish, is what it needs. Somebody stock that thing with F1s and then call me.
Yeah.
Well, Drew, let's get into this tournament.
Sure.
I appreciate your insight and opinion on all that stuff. Let's talk about this tournament. What'd you get over there and figure out in practice, and then we'll get into your actual tournament days.
Yeah, I was like, I think Ryan had mentioned, I'm just in my, paddling kayak in that new Shoaly, that I designed with Crescent, and just went and fished some moving water like I normally do. I equate what I do a lot to what John Cox does in the Elite Series. He doesn't have a graph on the front of his boat. He always fishes shallow, fishes in backwaters, rivers, creeks. He just sight fishes the lake, whatever. But he just focuses his efforts and time and attention only on that skill set, right? So he's able, and fish are always shallow. I mean, other than like February, January, February, and they can still be shallow depending on where you go, obviously. But it works for him. And I feel like there's not many people. I'll get into the real answer to this question here, but let me preface it with this. There's not many people on the Elite Series that are good at, or the MLF, whatever you want to take, right, are good at everything. Offshore, bank, moving water, up north, in the smallmouth. Brandon Polinick is probably one of the best examples. Jacob Wheeler is another good example. He's won tournaments on docks. He's won tournaments offshore, live scoping. He kind of does it all. So does Polinick. I feel like if at the highest level of bass fishing, where they spend 200 plus days on the water fishing, if we can only name and rattle off a few names that we know of that are like excel at all of the stuff, the ways you can win, right? What chance do we have at trying to be like, I want to live scope, I want to do offshore, I want to be a bank guy, I want to be a river creek guy? Like, no, you need to find what your strength is and your skill set and go hard in that direction, because you don't have enough time on the water and to ever learn how to be great at all of them. So all I've done is, push hard and learn. And all my life I've done this, obviously it's coming to a head now, the experience, rivers really well, and creeks and moving water and current, and how fish utilize current, right? I mean, Ryan, you're an expert in that as well, so you know what I'm talking about, man. They use that
Drew,
current.
wait a minute. He's now known as Live Scope Lambert.
Live Scope Lambert.
I was only in pre-fishing. Only in pre-fishing. On tournament day, I turn that off.
You throw it
and
off.
sink
Okay.
to the bottom of the lake.
But that's what I did. So I went and found moving water because in every tournament, I've said this before, the best lake anglers, the best offshore, the best bank guys for the lake, the best river creek guys, any one of them could potentially win. And that's how close this tournament was. Both of them, a quarter of an inch. And other guys had fish on. I know people who didn't even cast a check who lost enough fish that would have beat me. And I lost fish too, but whatever. I mean, if they catch their fish and I, of course, lose mine, then I lose. So either way, you can win. You just need to go find, I'm speaking to everybody listening here, find what you love to do and your skill set. And the beauty of the kayak is it can be anything. It can be offshore. It can be bank, backwaters, or rivers and creeks, whatever. And go that direction. And so, because you'll be better off if you do that instead of trying to be like, oh, you get caught up to, you watch the pros and you watch all these videos about different techniques and ways that people are smashing bass. And, like last year, Travis was in the lake, but I mean, you could do it so many different ways, and you get caught up when you see something, the latest thing, and you want to go do it, but just find who you are and your identity and go that way, and you'll be much better off. I use straight braid, power fish. Hardly ever throw. I mean, 95% of the time it's straight braid, power fishing, and that's it. And so I've just kind of gotten good, even better and better and better at that, instead of taking away from that to go learn other stuff that I don't have enough time to like get on the water to learn when and where and why to use it, and why do I need to? Right. Yeah. So anyway, I fished the river, and that's what I did.
I want to say something about that real quick and then get into your story.
Yeah, man.
I think it's easy to do. There's so much access to information these days that we get hammered with all this YouTube and all this stuff that we all of a sudden we have in our head what we think the fish should be doing. We don't go do what we want to do. We just think, oh, I saw 15 tactical bassing videos that said they should be fish on humps, 20 feet of water. Right. That's what I'm going to do, even though that's not your strength. So great point you made there, Drew. I love it.
It's true. Yep. So I just went to, I explored a little bit of the Vermont side, because last year the New York side is where we had to launch for Hobie. So I tried to explore a little bit over there. Day one, I found some. The thing is, there's only certain, and to me, I got to admit, it never is easy. I will say that it's never easy. I got to preface with saying that, but I feel like if it was ever quote unquote easy, this tournament might have been one of them, just because I just felt like dialed. I felt like I knew where they were, what they were doing. I found them pre-fishing, and there's little small sections of the river they were in. They're utilizing it. Maybe they're congregating to spawn. I don't know, but they weren't in necessarily all of it. Like I'm saying, there was definitely fish in all of it, but the concentration of big ones was only locked into, little section, quarter, half mile, whatever it was in length. And then I would kind of hit that and move to another spot that I'd found somewhere else. It was kind of similar. And just kind of, I bounced to two places and scored all my fish from Vermont on day one. And then on day two, I went to New York, and all my most of my fish came from New York, and then a couple from Vermont. But the cool thing about the second day was I was about to I was driving and was going to head to my next spot, and all of a sudden I had a thought in my head. I haven't tried this one place that I caught some fish at last year in the Hobie. I said, I haven't tried it pre-fishing. I haven't tried it in the tournament or pre-fishing. And I was like, I wonder how close I am to that, on my way to my other spot. And I looked at the map, and it was not that far away. And if I was going to go, I had to exit like right now. And I looked up, and the exit's right in front of me. I'm in the right-hand lane. And I just was like, and I just swerved off, kind of through the median and made the exit just in time. And it was that last second of a decision, that still small voice. And I went there, and I caught, and I want to say an 18.5 and a 19 on my last cast there. I caught a 19, and then I left. I mean, I didn't even make another cast. I caught the 19, and that sounds stupid, but I know there was no point. Like when you were catching something off of a log or a boulder or whatever it was, something that's small target, all week long, there wasn't a second fish following it. Well, a couple times there were, but if you threw back in on that single piece of structure, there was never another fish there. So I literally just caught a 19 and left. Like after I caught 18 and a half and 19, then left. I was like, I'm not going to waste my time with the other sections. You still can catch good fish in other areas, but I just was trying to maximize the highest percentage areas that I felt had the biggest fish. And I just trusted my gut that it was the correct decision. And then I went to my last spot. I went, and then I ended up catching a couple more nice ones there, like a 20 and a 19 there.
So you really running like 3 and 4 fish patterns all over a lake? Like I'm gonna get in here,
Yeah.
I'm gonna catch 2 fish, I'm going somewhere else.
Basically, I had them dialed where I was like, I know this is, I mean, it didn't scare me to drive an hour, and a half in the tournament because I knew I was going.
But you do this a lot. I mean, this isn't like a one-off type deal. Like, what makes you so confident that if you've caught a fish there pre-fishing that you're gonna be able to duplicate that in the tournament? What makes you so confident in those little nuances in the moving water that they're gonna hold?
Man, that's a good question. It just looked the same. That it was similar, and it's funny that in this particular situation, there was even fish like Ryan, like you can read currents and current seams and things that are boils out in the middle of the river, places that, I mean, I was catching fish from places that other people would never even think to throw bait.
Yeah.
A lot of people just fish the banks, and trust me, I caught a 20 and a quarter off the bank. So they're there too. But there was little subtle things that if you just don't know, you don't know, man. And I just saw, I caught some decent fish and pre-fishing in these areas, and it's just the right current flow, everything was there. I don't know, man. I just could tell they were there, and I just kind of hooked, one good one in pre-fishing, 1 or 2. And I left them alone. I said, there's no way that quickly I caught a good one pre-fishing that there's not more.
Yeah.
And of course then fortunately for me, it wasn't like they weren't all too far away where I was still able to use the paddle and not have to worry about motors and stuff. But I knew I could get out because I had like many spots. You know what I mean? I knew I could always like peace out and had a backup plan and could keep just rolling. It wasn't going to waste too much time, maybe a couple hours. So I just had the confidence that, hey, if it doesn't work out, I'm bouncing to the next one, and then to the next one. Eventually, it's going to work out because in pre-fishing, I caught some decent ones at all those places. So, and left them kind of there. So, it's pretty crazy.
Stuff. I've listened to some of your podcasts, Drew, and I've heard you say more than once, always leave yourself an out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that kind of your mindset there?
Absolutely, dude. Everywhere. Grand Lake was the same way. I ended up not needing it. I found those fish. More fish were there than I thought in that little teeny backwater. Lewis Smith, I needed an out. I needed an out, dude. The first place I went, I was wrong. The first place I went in Lewis Smith, I caught just pre-fishing. I was like, I don't know, 100 yards from the access. I caught like a 17-inch Alabama in a spot of bass, and I left it alone. I was like, shoot, this place has got him. I floated tournament day, nothing. I mean, I caught like 15, maybe 14, 15.
We haven't talked to you about that one. Was that a cover and water deal? Was that a multi-ramp deal? Like how did you approach Smith Lake?
A couple places I went to. Yeah. And I gave myself an out on that first place. I said, I need to, because I had 2 spots I thought were pretty good based on the pre-fishing. I was like, I need to give myself an out on that one. And I was in some creeks, there's lots of creeks flowing into that, creeks and rivers flowing into that lake. So in moving water there. And then I was smart to give myself that out, Jeff, because I left and I went to the second spot. And I mean, dude, it's such a fine line. And I know this looks from the outside in, people are like, oh, seems so easy. You know what I mean? But I was at 130 at Lewis Smith, I had like 75 inches and our lines out was 230. From 130 to 210, I just got to the right zone. And I caught 19 and a quarter inch largemouth, which I posted a video of that one on like YouTube and Instagram, and it comes waking after this topwater plopping bait and just crushes it. And then I caught a 19 3/4 inch Alabama bass that's doing the same thing. I got a video of that one. I mean, I filmed all these tournaments. I got them one day, probably see the light of day, but it's just so busy that I don't have time to like do anything with them. But anyway, and so I just happened to get on a little run and then caught like a 17 or 16 3/4, another 17 something, whatever. And I replaced my entire like stringer within 30-40 minutes. And if I don't get there in that spot, or I lose one of those fish, I'm probably not even in the money. We're not even talking about this streak, but I was smart enough, like you said, to give myself an out. That first spot, I paddled back out of that area, booked it, and gave myself enough time to work the entirety of the second spot, and just they happened to just get hooked up, man. It was a crazy. If you watch that video back, by the way, on that whopper plopper on that fight, he's got one hook in the side of his mouth, and clear water, you can see that. And so what you can do, and you'll watch the video, the technique you can do is when you're bringing them at the side of the boat, when you turn them, rip it back hard where that bait comes. It's, this is the mouth of the fish. I should use the Hobie trophy. There you go. This is the mouth of the fish. If I have a bait here, and the plopper bait's, this way, your line's obviously going that way. When you turn them, turn it hard and the bait goes back, and that second hook can get them, you know what I'm saying, under the belly or something, and to make sure you get them in the boat. And so in the video, you'll see me doing that stuff. And it's like, it takes you losing fish before with a single little hook like that on any bait that's got treble hooks and multiple trebles, a jerk bait or whatever, to learn to be able to like turn like that and get another hook in them, which is why in the video you hear me saying like, oh shoot, she's got one hook, maybe I can get another one in her, and I rip it over her and get that hook in, and then I see that it's in, I just boat flip her in the boat and it's all good. But I think I did, or I grabbed her, I don't know. But that's like, just, I feel like I'm hitting my stride is my point. All these little teeny things, we're not talking about this. I've really focused on tournaments for about 2.5 years now. The COVID year was supposed to be the year I was going to focus on it. Didn't work out. Life changed, and moved to Crescent, moved to Ohio, lots of changes. And
I think Ohio was the key.
Yeah, totally key. So anyway, I just feel like I'm kind of like, I got history now at places, because even that, look at Champlain. I don't win this tournament if I don't swerve at the last minute, because I had history at a spot and I just want to go quickly check it at this tournament. You know what I mean? So I feel like I'm just kind of hitting my stride, experience from fishing. And now it's a different ball game. Okay. I've always been able to catch fish in rivers, travel the country a little bit with Hooked on Wild Waters and the River Bassin Trail. I've always been kind of versatile because I have experience, fishing for multiple species and in different parts of the country. But now I'm putting together a whole new game where now it's about maximizing that lake. And how do you do that? By managing time and making decisions and executing with your gear. And you got to make a lot of mistakes first before you can kind of get to kind of this level that I guess I'm fishing at now. And it's not going to last forever. Trust me, guys. I know that, but I'm happy, that it's happened now. And I was joking at the awards. Like I half want to see myself lose too, just because it's starting to get like uncomfortable and a lot of pressure.
You said something, Drew, and Ryan, you've seen this. I've experienced it. You've probably experienced it too, Ryan. Making that call to take the out and leave and move spots.
It's hard.
I mean, many of us have the tendency to try to will fish into existence in a certain spot and just stay there half the day or the whole day. How do you develop that? Or do you? Is that just something that you kind of get in that groove where, mentally when to make that move?
It is hard. You gotta be confident the other spots are, gonna have. It's easy to do when you got fish there. You know what I mean? And on 2-day tournaments, it's easy to do because you can get right in a hurry. And so if you move to 3 places, you only need the end of the day to be kind of like quasi in the hunt for a check or whatever, just to get right. But now you've learned. Now you didn't have all day to get that final spot, and you finally found them. Now you really can get them on day 2, because what was tough about this tournament is you got a single trail series event on day 1 and a single one on day 2, and then a joint event. So I didn't know. I was almost like, wait, I want to win the trail series, so I got to like burn it down. But then wait, I can't. So I want to win the pro series, so I want to manage fish. And I was like, you know what? Fortunately for me, I've got a lot of spots that I found. And so it was easy to burn it all down on the first day, right, to get that win. And I went back to that spot, the very last spot I went for the last hour and a half. On the second day, I went back to it, the place that I did a lot of the damage on day 1. And it's a good thing that I did not rely on that spot again, because it's true. When you go in there and you whale on them for a day, and there was a ton of fish there, trust me, they were not. I mean, I caught like maybe some 14, 15, 16s, maybe one that was like 17 or 18, but there was none of those winning fish were willing to eat again. They were like, nah, we've seen that the game. I tried other stuff, it wouldn't happen. But anyway, it's hard to do. You got to know you got good fish, but
you just got to have fish in Vermont and New York, apparently.
Apparently.
Yeah, that's the trick.
It doesn't. I mean, like, I guess the other thing too to consider is like, when you pre-fish, if you don't do well, sometimes you're like, well, I've at least eliminated 4 or 5 places I'm not going to go.
Yeah.
Well, think about how you pre-fish. Sometimes you go to a place and you just find them, right? You got to be confident you can still find them. And so like Pickwick's a good example. Last year, on tournament day, it rained a lot. This is for KBF. It rained a lot and everything changed from Friday to Saturday, like everything, all the rivers got flooded. And I was like, well, I can't go where I was going to go. So I'm just going to look on the map and like try to find a spot where I feel like the fish have to be in these conditions. And just like I was pre-fishing, like if that was the conditions on Wednesday when I showed up, or Thursday, sure enough, I found them. So you got to like have confidence that in pre-fishing, if I can just roll up and find fish, why can't I do that in the tournament? Because you can. It doesn't always happen and work out, but you got to have confidence. And that just comes from obviously experience and learning the bass and the behavior and where they should be. And even in that gamble to go there, I still had it out. I still could have left and continued pre-fishing all day long. Now at Santa Cooper this year, I tried that on day 2. I got cocky and went and explored the swamp. I knew they were out there somewhere and I couldn't find them. And that's just fishing. Sometimes it doesn't work, but you got to have the confidence to take those gambles. And that definitely comes with just a little bit more experience and having it happen successfully, but I would encourage you not to think like, oh, it hasn't happened successfully in the tournament. Don't worry about that. You've done it in pre-fishing, right? Because you stumble, you got your map study and you roll up to different ramps and all of a sudden you start catching fish and you're like, hey, that's where I thought they were going to be. You can do it on tournament day. It's not easy. You just need to like trust that you can because you've done it before on practice, which is no different.
Yeah, I dig it. Ryan, we wanted to ask him about this new boat before we let him get out of here.
I do want to ask him about that. Clearly, it's a well thought out boat. It's got a lot of, kind of user friendly, intuitive features on it. Tell us kind of the ideology behind it, and then how you integrated some of the stuff like, the electronics, the catch board, the kind of small nuances in this thing.
Well, here's my thing, man. I don't think, a boat it's not going to teach you where to cast or obviously make you a better angler in that sense, but it can definitely make you more comfortable. It can, which will help. There's some small things in it. And I've said this analogy on here before, so I know if you've listened to this, maybe, or my podcast, but like at some point, swimmers started shaving their hair so they can save a point, whatever, 0.3 seconds in Olympic swimming.
I don't think you said that on here yet.
All right, maybe not.
I'm going to remember it. We're going to get shaved in
but
here.
It's a good analogy that little things on the boat that'll save you time, like the catch board being right there. You don't have to go back and get it, or the hook sharpener recess there where the hook sharpening stone goes, or the line cutters, just to remind you, okay, I need to retie a little bit more often. And because it's right there, or the sharpening stone just to sharpen your hooks, that might, over the course of whatever, a year or something, might get you a fish or 2 extra because you sharpened some hooks. And maybe if you didn't, it's not penetrating through, because big fish, remember, we're targeting big fish. If you're fishing a tournament, you're really fishing for a fish that quite frankly lives and behaves like a different species than small fish. They do. It's like a redfish. So, like they live in the marsh when they're young and they go offshore. And when they become a bull red and they live in the ocean. The big bass are like that. They live differently and act differently than the small ones. And they have big, hard, bony mouths. So if you're not sharpening your hooks, you might be catching all these small ones like crazy. But if you're not sharpening your hooks and you're not, it's the difference in potentially landing a fish or not, which is the difference in the tournament. So little small things like that on the boat, the strap handle, the cam track system where there's a cam strap to the front, it makes it easy to tow to the river or lake or your access. And then it also is a wading belt, a lot of little smart, intuitive things like that. That I think will kind of add up to the rod holsters on the side, which is a Yak Attack padlock. It's a taco style, net or paddle or rod holder, but they're right here where you drop your hands on the hips. So that's why we call them the rod holsters. Having that right there with your follow-up soft plastic when they miss a buzz bait or a top water or any bait really at the same spot, and or the net right there where you don't have to fumble pulling it out of some tube, drop your hand, grab it, boom. And if any of that stuff can contribute a teeny bit to help, then that adds up to, a better time in the water, maybe more fish. And it certainly can, like I said, teach you where to catch them or whatever, but it's got a good hole for moving water. So it was really great on this trip. It performed so good. It's the reason I was able to paddle and maneuver and do a lot of the stuff. But there's just a lot of cool, smart, intuitive features to the boat. And It's got, here's the thought process though on the integrations with the fish finder cubby and the anchor wizard recess and the catch board, the landing gear for boondocks, everything kind of is recessed into the boat. And as a river angler, I don't really recommend rods sticking up. You're going to hit limbs and trees. Everything should be down low. And quite frankly, if you're if you're a lake angler and you're going underneath cables at Grand Lake and docks and things like that, you shouldn't have rods sticking all up anyway. I'm not saying anyone's wrong if they fish with a crate with 10, 15 rods, because what works for you is great, But I will say there's a reason why nobody at the highest level of all bass fishing has a crate or rod holders right behind them on the deck with rods sticking up. Because the mechanics of a bait caster, KVD is swinging that thing with 6 feet of line, whipping it in a circle to get the longest cast possible. He's not having a bunch of rods sticking up behind him. And he's got the ability to not do that, to lay them on a deck. Well, we do too. We just don't. And again, if you just want to whip a bait caster back and forward like that, that's fine. But there's a reason. The mechanics, if you follow golf or anything, bait caster is very much like a golf swing. There is the proper mechanics for the longest cast and the best efficiency of that tool, and it's not whipping it like a spinning rod back and forward. It's a big, huge looping motion. You'll see every pro do it, and it's not conducive to having anything sticking up behind you. And
every time I'm going under those no fishing cables, my shit gets hung up on them, so I keep it laid down.
Yeah,
I ain't trying to get caught up in the game out there.
Just lay your whole what's that thing called from Calcoast? You can just grab it and get up on the bank, fish right there.
It's my rod mule, bro.
Rod mule,
in case I need to get
up
there and get on them bedders,
Right,
yep.
I got you.
So I mean, that's kind of the boat. I mean, it's got a fish finders are flush and recessed in there. If you use that, that's kind of slick. So I always equate it to those old suction cup GPS units on your windshield compared to where they're flushing our dashboards now on a vehicle. It's just nice that it's all like has a place. It's everything's down low. Your anchor wizard handle is the only thing sticking up. It doesn't look like that old board game Mousetrap. Your kayak doesn't look like that. And again, I know a lot of people's kayaks are listening to this.
Your mind is in so many different. You just pulled out Mousetrap to describe.
I don't know. That might age me. I don't know if people even know what that game is.
I know what that is.
You know what it is. Okay.
Hungry Hippo, Mousetrap. I
never in a million years I wouldn't have sat and thought, man, that kayak don't look like Mousetrap.
Now, next time, Ryan, we're gonna be like, look at that old Mousetrap looking kayak. That's what we're gonna say.
Shoots and ladders in here.
I don't know. I just like taking advantage of what the kayak was meant for, and that's getting into those tight places. And so everything's kind of seamless, built down in there.
The catchboard integration and then the angle of those rod holders in the back are my two absolute favorite features.
Yeah.
Everybody has to use a catchboard. Obviously, you're measuring your fish every kayak tournament. That being integrated is genius. I hope that idea does not escape other manufacturers as they continue to develop boats, because that's genius. I mean, really, like, where it needs to be. You measure your fish in the floor of the boat, generally speaking, in every tournament. Like, I mean, that's a common sense deal.
It stays there. It stay there. So here's the cool thing. When I move, again, I'm telling you, like, I don't measure when I'm on the tournament. This is funny. I don't measure anything in minutes. Obviously, everyone wants to be efficient and save time. I measure and think about everything in casts. So when I'm not having to move when I move spots, for example, there's a rod saver on the front hatch lid. The rod savers that are on the decks of bass boats, right? When they run, they crank up the outboard, they Velcro the rod saver on the rods, they take off. Okay. The front hatch has the rod staging grooves on it, which they go there when you're fishing anyway. So they stay right there. I open up the rod saver, strap them down, catch boards, it stays in its spot. Everything stays there. I grab this, the handle, throw it in the truck, and I've got a male. I cut a cam strap in half, and then I tied, the male end on one end and the female end on the other. So I don't have to like go through my loops and all that. I just literally put the two together, pull it tight, and then crank up the truck and roll. I mean, I saved, and I'm thinking to myself, I just saved X number of casts compared to somebody else who has to put the catch board away, put all this away. And I just, everything just stayed right there. And so it's going to, at some point that time, matter of fact, I caught a fish on day one, an 18-incher at 129. Lines out was 130. I caught a fish at 129. So everything I did that day and the efficiency of that kayak and the features saved me enough time to catch that fish. It didn't matter because I had fish bigger, but that's just proof right there. It's about those it's getting tough, man, to win, and everyone's good. And so it's just, you need those little teeny extra things to push you over the edge once you already have all the other skill set. And so the boat's got some some cool stuff like that. I mean, a proper hole, if you know, Ryan, if you hit a log, Jeff, you too, I know you fish rivers in your area and creeks too. If you hit a rock or a log and you flip over and you got a yard sale going everywhere, how many casts did you just lose that day? If you don't have the right,
it ain't only the cast you just lost.
yeah, that's right.
You lost all 12 of them rods sticking up too.
A little pride, whatever. But to have a hole that's designed to be able to paddle and maneuver properly in moving water, and it's a great flat water boat. That was probably my biggest takeaway from the launch, because a lot of the first shipments went to places where there was a lot of rain, there was flooding. So the first people testing it were on lakes. They're like, dude, this boat's tracking awesome. I love it in the lake. And I'm like, wow, I didn't expect that. But anyway, if you have a boat that maneuvers good and you barely scrape by and you had enough time to turn and miss that log or that rock that would have flipped you, that boat did just save you time and more casts, potentially helping you win. So it's a good boat. I've been enjoying fishing out of it. Obviously I designed it. So, but I mean, I literally have, I mean, yeah, I just have been really enjoying. It's just so freaking fun to fish out of. I got to be honest. It's just so fun.
From every report that I've seen online, every comment, everybody that's got their hands on it or seen it is really impressed. So, well done. I haven't seen one in person yet, but I'm excited to see one. My buddy's a dealer down there in Conway. I don't know if you know James down there at H24. I'll definitely put my hands on them when I'm down that way.
Yeah, everyone, all of our dealers, everyone at Crescent, and we're just a super positive vibe sort of company, and everyone's just been just great to work with there, and the whole team that puts it together. I mean, it's been a real great experience working with those guys, and USA made company, quality products. So I'm glad people are enjoying it. And that's my whole goal. I just want people to have great memories out of the kayak and hopefully win some events like this, or if they're just fun fishing, just go make some good memories with their families. And that's what it's all about. There's more to this than tournament fishing. So hopefully that's what people do in the boat.
Good stuff, man. Well, I know Ryan's down at the beach. He wants to get back to doing whatever people do at the beach. We're not going this year. But Drew, man, hey, you're one of a kind. We always like your takes on different things. Congrats once again. If you win 3 more in a row, we may skip you a couple times. We can't have you on every time.
Dude, there's no way. Next one for me is Winnipesaukee. There's just no way. I mean, I've never been there either, and it's not.
When does registration close on that one? Is it this Wednesday?
I don't know.
Let me see if I can still register for it. I'm on the fence on that one. I want to do that one just because of smallmouth.
You're seeing all these northern smallies. You want to get in on that?
I know. I do. It makes me jealous. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. But anyway, we'll wrap this thing up, dude. It was a heck of a show. We appreciate everybody in the comments that hung with us all night. And Drew, congrats again, man, on the tournament success and the boat release. It's awesome.
Thank you guys, man. I appreciate it. It's been a little bit of a whirlwind, and I mean, like I said at the awards, just if I'm dreaming, dude, please don't wake me up. This is unreal, man. So thanks, guys.
Keep getting after it, man. Keep getting after it. I'll see you at Susky. You're at Susky, right?
I'll see you there if I don't see it, Winnie.
All right. So. Ryan, go get sunburned tomorrow, man. We'll see you.
No, I'm too smart for that.
All right.
See y'all.
See you guys.